This week on Focus Outdoors, we are headed to Mobridge, South Dakota for the Northern Oahe Walleye Series. Mobridge is an awesome town with all the amenities you will need to have a great time on your western adventure. The folks in Mobridge pitch in to make this leg of the Northern Oahe Walleye Series a fun-filled event that draws a big contingent of anglers to compete for the prizes at the end of the tunnel. Called the Northern Oahe Walleye Series. Come along, learn techniques that the winning team used to get the crown, and see a few big walleyes the competitors pulled in. Let's go west and enjoy the Northern Oahe Walleye Series. As we took to Lake Oahe, which is a reservoir of the Missouri River, the tournament was well into late morning, afternoon hours. We were trying to track down some of the top competitors to see how they were doing during this high tension filled day. We came across many different kinds of boats that these folks use, lots of different techniques. But what they all had in common, they were having fun and fishing aggressively. Some guys were trolling with jigs and minnows. Some guys were running crankbaits. Some guys were jigging vertically. The myriad of techniques that are used by these tournament fishermen amazes me every time I'm around these folks. They all have something that works well for them, and that's what's most important, to have confidence in the rigs that you're using. And one thing that I did notice, most of these tournament teams were friends. There's a lot of smiles, a lot of back slaps, good camaraderie that is important to end a fishing trip, whether it's a tournament or just hanging out with family and friends. Just remember to enjoy the day the good Lord has given us.
That's a nice one. You guys want us to hang around you all day? Seems like you're catching fish since we've been here. Okay, so we just pulled up on Josh Ambrister and CJ McHugh. They're pretty high up in the point standing for the team of the year for Northern Oahe. And we've watched them net some fairly good slot fish. It looked like the last fish they put in the boat was about a 19-inch fish. So yeah, so hopefully it'll do them good in the weigh-in this afternoon.
As we had the camera boat on our first team that we came across that we were looking for the day, they were catching a lot of smaller walleyes. No 4, 5, 6 pounders, but good fish that'll help put them on the board and keep them in the race.
When'd you get the big net test?
He just turned kitty.
Oh, really?
He just rolled. Ah! If I'm wrong, it's okay. Good. He just turned kitty. Now that kitty's got. Do you think he ate it?
I was very surprised, even in the short period of time that we were out observing the fishermen, that we did get lucky enough to see a few big slabs caught and a lot of excitement in a couple of these boats. The boys that were jigging piers on the bridge pulled in a really nice fish and could barely contain themselves, to be honest with you. It was really, really fun to watch and very exciting.
Midwest Gun Dog Kennels is your full-time gun dog training facility. For over 30 years, we have customized our training to fit each individual gun dog. We know it takes a well-trained gun dog to handle wild birds. Make every hunting trip a dream trip. Let Midwest Gun Dog Kennels put excitement back into your hunt of a lifetime. Midwest Gun Dog Kennels, where experience equals excellence.
Make your next day on the water even better with Airwave Pedestal, the only air suspension system that can be custom adjusted to the weight of the rider. No unreliable springs, no oil-filled shocks to leak. Our patented design utilizes a two-stage suspension system to smooth out the roughest ride, while limiting travel to an industry-leading 2 inches. This boating season, enjoy your time on the water to the fullest. Find out how at airwavepedestal.com.
Dakota Pheasant Guide offers the best wild pheasant hunts from the Glacial Lakes area of South Dakota west to the Missouri River. Packages available include everything from self-guided to fully guided hunts. Book your bird hunting adventure now. Fishermen, iTime Promotions is your ticket to an enjoyable and successful day on the water. Call Dennis Foster for your outdoor adventure of a lifetime.
Next away is Team 7. Looks like they got a 6-fish bag.
8.37.
837.
Good? Yep.
And $5,000 also goes to team number 20, Chris Reichman, Jeff Kostelski, and Travis Baumgartner. So you guys get this as well.
Hey folks, Dennis Foster here, Focus Outdoors Television. We recently wrapped up the 3rd annual Northern Lake Hawaii Walleye Series Championship. It just so happens I've got 2 of the fellas here that not only won the championship tournament, they won Team of the Year. I've got Chris Reichman, I've got Jeff Kostelski, Travis Baumgartner couldn't be here. All right, now we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of how these guys actually pulled this off week after week consistently. We're going to go to the map. We're going to have Jeff kind of highlight some of the areas they fished from the beginning of the season on through the end, describe the tactics briefly, and then we'll turn around and we'll talk real hardcore specifics on that, meaning the exact products that were being used, the rods, so forth, so on. So we started out with Danny Palmer, Wolves was the first tournament.
Yeah, we started at the Wolves, and we kept sort of the same presentation throughout the year. And it's definitely in the spring of the year, you know, it was more of a baiting tactic. And our motto's always been, if you think you're going too slow, you gotta go slower yet. It's just one of the things that works well for us. It's shown here on the map, we sort of fish the same structure all year. You see here the deep channel breaks right off the edge, and you got so many different depths that you can fish all at the same time versus very shallow. Until later in the day, moving on out. And like I said, we live baited most of the first half of the tournament. And as fish change, you know, you just change with them, or you get left behind.
Right. You know, one thing I think was notable is how shallow those fish stayed into actual summer this year too. I mean, they stayed shallow much longer than most people would have anticipated.
It seemed like for us, we chased 2 different fish. You had the walleyes that chased the smelt, and then you had the other walleyes that chased the shad. You know, and that was your 2 depths that you had to figure out which ones you wanted. And for us, it seemed like the smelt fish were always bigger and better.
Right.
But,
yep.
Just one of them deals.
Yeah, and you know, it just shows the diversity of the reservoir, and this is theory, and it's personal theory, is when we had our smelt numbers down so far, I think a lot of these fish had to learn how to eat in the back of these bays, and they're back on the young of the year perch or white bass or whatever the heck they had tossed in. When did that begin?
Well, about midsummer when we started going south. When Chris and Travis started fishing the way south of Whitlock one is when they went to more of the cranks, pulling the bigger, deeper cranks, and just keeping on top of them smelt walleyes. And Chris and Travis, they did really good they won the Grand River tournament and did very well in the Whitlock one, and that was basically their program there. But Chris will highlight on some of that stuff. And here what I got pulled up is where we actually were for the championship, and it was one of Chris and Travis's spots over the Grand River and the Whitlock tournament. So I'll let him take over on this one.
Well, the Grand River, we run down here, and basically we just started cranking across these points, and as we find the fish, we turn around and start working in and out on them points. And same thing in the championship. We come down here and just started working in and out off of them. When we'd find them, we'd sometimes go to baiting when it'd slow down, or jigging rapping. And during the championship, it got a little slower, and we went to jigging rapping and got into them.
And we were doing a lot in that saddler, and there was a lot of flooded timber. And it was very hard on the cranks and the jigging wraps, because you had to be where the fish were, and you had to get them through that brush. And if you waited too long with your jigging wrap, there's mini casts where we throw it out and it was gone.
You're practicing time now.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something you guys had shared with me the other day, and the jigging wraps are expensive. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you guys had mentioned that you're getting them from Pro Tackle at a much reduced rate. And obviously they were working just as well, if not better for you. So, I mean, there's a little knowledge to be gained there, too. You don't need to buy the super expensive top shelf stuff to get the job done when all you're doing is losing it. All right, I'd like to thank these guys for showing us a few of their spots, which is quite generous of them because they did hand it to us, and there's people listening, they're going to learn. And I feel that's a better part of the circuit is camaraderie and learning from each other. I mean, if you get whipped, I look at it and say, what did they do? You know, let's learn from it. With that too, a lot of this comes down to the mental aspect of it, the mental game. Obviously not everything goes right every day. You guys have problems just like everybody else. What did you have to overcome, and what do you think some of the better moves you made to overcome some of the things?
Well, you know, there's a lot of, you know, we pick on each other, getting too complacent. You know, we'll stick to one program a little bit too long or one spot too long, but you know, there's a fine line to that as well.
Right, you can't pull the plug on.
You know, it's you know, you got to say you can't leave fish to go find fish either. But you know, we started with a game plan and we pretty much stuck to it. You know, each tournament and didn't veer a lot from it, and it just paid off.
Do you find you know, and good finishes all of a sudden build a lot of confidence? Do you think that kind of helped carry through because you think, you know, by God, we got through this one, we did all right. You know, you go in there with a little
by far you
mindset.
and that's like fishing with your favorite lure. You know, sometimes there ain't no different in colors, but you have a little bit more confidence in it. You'll fish that lure a little bit harder than the other ones, and it does boil down a lot of confidence.
I totally agree. There's certain plugs that will not work for very, very good fishermen that'll work for another one, and it's a confidence factor. They could be pulling them the exact same way. It's just, I don't know how it translates, but it does.
High Point Pet Foods presents Country Creations Dog Foods, offering quality nutrition for the life of your canine companion. To fuel the fire of puppyhood into keeping the energy level high of an active young dog, optimizing the performance of the hard-charging adult, or having a quality diet for your senior canine companion. Country Creations has you covered with their quality formulas. Get in touch with High Point Pet Foods today. Midwest Gun Dog Kennels is your full-time gun dog training facility. For over 30 years, we have customized our training to fit each individual gun dog. We know it takes a well-trained gun dog to handle wild birds. Make every hunting trip a dream trip. Let Midwest Gun Dog Kennels put excitement back into your hunt of a lifetime. Midwest Gun Dog Kennels, where experience equals excellence.
Well, as you might be able to tell, I spend a lot of time behind the shotgun. Whether it's at the clay target fields, sporting clays fields, doing exhibitions, or bird hunting, I always trust my shooting skills to the Rio elites. Not only for the lighter recoil, but as you can tell, the harder hitting, consistent patterns. These clay targets don't stand a chance when you shoot Rio elite.
Dakota Pheasant Guide offers the best wild pheasant hunts from the Glacial Lakes area of South Dakota west to the Missouri River. Packages available include everything from self-guided to fully guided hunts. Book your bird hunting adventure now. Fishermen, iTime Promotions is your ticket to an enjoyable and successful day on the water. Call Dennis Foster for your outdoor adventure of a lifetime.
On and on it goes. You mentioned you guys started out more of a live bait program in the beginning. Kind of explain how you guys approach that.
Well, in the spring of the year, you know, we're using a lot of mounters and super long just snells. You know, like I say, just simple, plain hook with crawler leech. Just chasing, like I say, is just super slow. Just let the bait do the work, and it just, like I say, it just worked well for us in the beginning. We've chased a lot of shallow fish as well, with the heavy bottom bouncers, super shallow, but then just ripping them through there. It didn't work as well for us, but we still caught a lot of fish. but it was always the live bait with where the bigger fish came from.
You know, you touched, excuse me, on a couple of things there with the going slow on the rod you got rigged up there is the smile blade on it. You can still have an attractor that isn't overpowering, and it'll slowly flip-flop around at those super slow speeds. So that's kind of a unique benefit of that. And then I don't think you expanded enough on this shallow stuff. These guys are literally running 4 and 6 ounce bouncers beside the boat, all but straight up and down in a couple foot of water, along grass, along weeds. And you guys are hustling them through there pretty good, aren't you?
Oh yeah, we're smoking them through there.
Yep, and that's you know, that's something a lot of folks would look at. It's 6 ounce bouncer, 4 foot of water. What's wrong with these guys? Well, it works perfect. I mean, the thing's right there. It's under control. And those fish are shallow. They do not seem to be worried about the boat at all. You know, I've even seen times when you back off and cast to them and you can't hardly get them, but you put a boat over them and you make the darn things bite. So, I mean, that's a tactic that's overlooked by a lot of people. As you moved out of the shallow type stuff, as we got later in the year and started getting into more of a deeper cranking type program, kind of give us a rundown of that. We mentioned, you know, trying to stay in the bait type thing a little bit. You know, your specific setup, because with 3 guys in the boat, we can run 6 rods. And you guys weren't using a lot of planer boards to spread them out, you know, trying to hit specific break lines and stay on your depth where the smelt were. You know, basically what was your program to keep everything from tangling up? Because a lot of key is following a lot of those contours in and out, and if your stuff's snagged up, you're not catching fish.
Well, later in the year when we went to cranking, our setup consisted of running the shorties out the back, and then we'd run 8-footers out the side and 14-footers after that, and we could keep everything staggered, avoid snags. We'd run snap weights also, and we'd run 4s, 6, 8s. It all depended on what kind of plug we had and how deep we were targeting.
Okay, I'm going to expand on some specifics with some of the equipment that I use for the tactics that our winners had just described for us. For example, we're going into the jig and wrap thing. A lot of this is deep water, so we're having ounce plus swim baits out there, whether it's a jig and wrap or a shiver minnow or whatever that you may want to use for your bait of choice. You need a rod with a little bit of backbone because these things are heavy and it's going to wear on you and you're really popping them things. I consulted with the folks at St. Croix, and what we ended up coming up with to use is the Mojo Bass rod. And what it is, it's a medium heavy fast rod. It's 7 foot 1 inches, so it's got enough length there that you can really pop that thing without having a huge arm movement and wearing yourself out. And it does have enough background, because a lot of times you go to lift up the next time and snap, you don't even know it, but that fish is there and you need some meat to drive those hooks home. It also has enough flexibility here too, because one of the issues with these baits is they are heavy. And you need a little bit of give there too, because they get up towards the surface of the water and they start shaking their head. There's so much weight there that thing has leverage and it can throw the hook. So you're going to want to be conscious of that, select the right rods. On the trolling end of things, on some of the longer rods, I like personally the Icon series from St. Croix, and yes, I am sponsored by St. Croix, but they make great products and that's why I use them. I like these 10-foot 6 Icons. The entire Icon series is largely technique specific, so you don't have a guessing game to try to find what rods you need. You know, you want a long trolling rod, there it is. The shorties, which are something that I think is just cute as all get out and effective, and you're seeing a lot more guys use them, these little 5-foot rods are perfect for the lead core rods. And just like Chris had outlined, run off the back of the boat, run your longer rods progressively forward. And with that, particularly on lead core, it's tough to find good reels for them. I've been running the Cold Water series by Okuma. They're their high-end line counters. A full spool of lead fits on there just perfectly. We're not doing the play colors out game. We're simply using our line counter to nail our depths down, but a perfect little combo. We get down to some of the more, I guess, technical isn't the right word, more tackle end of things. Snap weights, you know, they may be tough to find. You can find 6 and 8s. The bouncers are really tough to find, and these heavy bouncers. Pro Tackle out of Selby, South Dakota, which is very near the reservoir, has these 6s and 4s, so those are handy. You do not find them every day. If you need some, look them up. Some of the live bait stuff, and these are some things that I've designed myself, the Slow Death Plus, the Super Slow Death Plus on the spinner series with the ventilator blades. The Max Lure stuff has gained a big name and a good reputation on the reservoir with the Smile blades, and there's several different versions, this one being a walleye pop, but there's several different versions to look at there. And on some of the plug things, interestingly enough, Reef Runner just come out with a new lure, and it's basically based on their well-known 800 series, which is their big deep diver, but they've added another rattle chamber and some lighter type beads, so it's got a little more of a buzzier sound. Initial indications are this is going to be a good bait because we're running them side by side with the traditional Reef Runners, seeing a little more action. But anyway, these are some things to consider, and we do ask that you back the sponsors because these are the people that actually make this happen for us, and without them, quite frankly, we wouldn't be here.